Hello and welcome to TF. It is me, Riley.
It's the free one.
You figured it out, huh?
I did, yeah. I've been looking at the calendar today. Let me tell you, it is the free one.
You solved all those riddles that Riley set?
Yeah, he basically he swung over that pit of crocodiles, climbed that tree, jumped over that that quicksand.
I have a mouth but do not speak. I have a bed but do not sleep. What am I? Hussein Kasvani.
Yeah, that's right. Hussein is not joining us today. Of course, he is in his bed, not sleeping, reading the manga that he has written on his own duvet cover. However, I have a studio update for everyone. A thing that happened. A funny thing happened on the way to the podcast recording studio. Yeah, that's right. I pseudolus, and I am somewhat of the pseudolus in this particular story.
Okay.
I entered the room. The recording space, and then
so a key element of geography here to understand is that we, much like in a sort of like a music recording studio, we have a soundproof enclosure, and then we have a window, and then on the other side of that window, there's like an editing station where the mixer is. Now, I was sat there editing Masters of Our Domain.
And I thought, oh hey, there's my good friend Milo. I'm gonna walk up and say hello to him.
Yeah, through the window. Now, also bear in mind, Riley is in the soundproof studio where the lights are off, so it's completely dark in there, and I am sat in the brightly lit room adjoining it. And so, as far as I'm concerned...
It is soundproof. He could not hear me.
Yeah, a fucking ghostly apparition just, like, presses its face up to the window and waves at me. Well, I lost my ever-loving shit.
If the lights had been on, it would have just been the end of The Graduate. But instead, you just had this horrifying experience.
Oh, I had headphones on too. I was like fully engrossed in podcast editing. I was listening to Hussein talk about Tenet.
Yeah, you know what happened is you made a noise. I shit you not. That sounded like you doing an impression of Mickey Mouse.
It was kind of like, oh,
yeah. Dear listener,
you know when you're so frightened by something, you sort of forget to make a normal noise, and just whatever the fuck comes out of you. And in that case, it was oh.
You thought you were about to be like killed by the Thin Man.
Yeah, exactly. Slender Man's come for me.
Yeah. So now, anything you hear from Milo,
Riley's like, you thought I was slender?
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, do go on. I'm so excited to be this generation's Slender Man instead of this generation's mid-size could probably work out a bit more man.
Hate it when the burly man comes for me.
If you say the name of a techwear brand 3 times, Riley will appear in your house.
Oh man, you sent me that one techwear brand that I can only describe as like Rick Owens deciding to be inspired by Final Fantasy VII. What was it called?
Oh, well, that sounds like Hamkus, but what you're describing is Volleybak, which is the sort of goofy Elon Musk worshipping techwear thing, where they make entire jackets out of copper because they think that that's cool.
Yeah, well, if you want to be more conductive.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get struck by lightning, then buy an 800-pound copper jacket, stand in a thunderstorm, and curse God.
Yeah, that's right.
See how it works out for you.
Yeah. No, there was one that starts with a D that you sent me. That I sent you. Anyway, regardless, very funny to me.
This is now the Techwear podcast.
This
all
is
of
now
us are named
specifically-
Antoine now. We're all, like, Errolson Hugh is here. He's not talking, but he's here.
This is the podcast where we advise you to go out in a storm and offend Zeus.
We're all zipping our jackets back onto the backpack straps that they all have in them. We're having a lovely time.
It's great. It's a great time. No, well, I think I could have really scared Milo a bit more.
Totally unlistenable Techwear podcast because all the microphone picks up is the sound of synthetic fabrics against the microphone just crinkling.
Oh yeah, nice.
Well, no, so it's not that. It's TF. And any joke you hear from Milo today is going to have the extra frisson of recent terror attached to it.
That's right, yeah.
Once the adrenaline's up, that's where the comedy comes from, in the comedy glands.
Yeah, I am a survivor of a mild jump scare. Where's my parade?
There should totally be a parade for the survivors of mild jump scares.
There should, yeah. Oh, I got pranked good.
There would be an enforced quiet over the city.
No, that's right.
You would just go down a very short street and then, scurry off and mind your own business, hiding in a little hole.
Like the opposite of a Reclaim the Night march because we're too scared to go out at night. We're just going out in the middle of the day.
No, so we got some stuff for you today. We have some items that have been transpiring. I have a little more to say about MakerDAO as the planets came into their once every 135-year alignment where I take feedback and input. And someone, I have someone on Patreon sort of commented, like, there are a number of things about MakerDAO that are we did not discuss in our episode with Molly.
Shut up! I don't care. I'm never going to read the comments. Do not correct me.
So I want to be very clear. Unless it's going to be this good and relevant, do not tell me. Do not tell me anything. But in this case, it was good. It was good, and I'm going to talk about it. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Satoshi Island, the cryptocurrency paradise that is being created off of Vanuatu,
formerly Little St. James.
It's actually formerly Lataro Island, which is 90% a wildlife reserve for coconut crabs.
Coconut crabs?
Yeah, coconut crabs. I think they're quite
Sounds
fearsome.
delicious.
Fearsome, I'm afraid.
Oh, no.
Aren't coconut crabs the crabs that ate Amelia Earhart?
I'm allergic to crabs anyway, so any crabs are fearsome to me.
I feel certain that a coconut crab is the crab that ate Amelia Earhart.
Oh, I think
do not at me if I'm not
diverting
correct
from its
about
usual
this.
diet of coconut.
Well, they're
Absolutely.
huge. They're enormous. Like, if you're making a cryptocurrency-based, like...
They eat those coconuts whole. It's
society,
crazy.
If you're making a cryptocurrency-based society on an island, like, you're
cracking open your skull like a coconut to drink the milk inside.
But then finding
right.
there's very little milk, unfortunately.
Well, coconut crabs.
Those are pretty big lads, yeah.
They're huge. Anyway, I can't wait for all those Bitcoin people to move into their house.
Yeah, cool. And be eaten by the giant crab, the bored crab club.
And then
a crab doing the pussy eating gesture.
I don't think they could.
I don't know. They've got a
terrifying.
pincer. That would kind of work.
Pincer, yeah, just
What
right in
tongue?
front of the.
But verily, Socrates, what tongue?
I don't rightly know about the tongue, Socrates.
Wait, which one of us is Socrates?
I don't know. It's like waiting for Godot. Socrates isn't here.
But Glaucon, is the pussy-eating gesture truly the pussy-eating gesture if there is no
I'm
tongue?
Glaucon, you're Crito, and Alice is Euthyphro.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Alternatively, you're Vladimir, you're Astragon, and I am Godot.
No, you're the tree.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
So
Vladimir and estrogen.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
That's a great Alice screen name. If you, you know what? If you're seeing Alice with that screen name, this is where she came up with it.
Estragon is femboy Aragorn. There you go.
So, we're going to talk about some stuff. We've dithered and delayed for far too long, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about because I really want to get to the article today because, boy, it's fun. It's it's a real window into the brain madness of a certain kind of columnist that's coming a lot more to the fore recently.
The same kind of window into the brain madness that you could get if your skull had been opened by a coconut crab.
Or that you could see me emerging behind and do a little Mickey Mouse yelp.
That's right, yeah. What if a coconut crab had appeared in that window?
You'd probably
quite
be
scary,
terrified.
I'm sure.
Well, you're allergic. You would have been terrified on 2 levels once you figured out what it was.
No, I'd be like, thank God for that pane of glass.
So,
they can break through a pane of glass. I mean, if a coconut relative to a pane of glass, easy.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Rishi Sunak. Sorry.
Crab enthusiast, Rishi Sunak.
Coconut crab enthusiast, Rishi Sunak, sometime Chancellor of the UK. It's very funny. I don't want to talk about this too much, and we won't, but it has now been leaked that he was, like, personally responsible. He stood in front of the big sort of convoy that said, energy bill relief, and said no. He stood athwart the money and said no.
Classic.
Which is very amusing.
They're also coming after his wife, which means the possibility of Rishi Sunak hauling off and slapping somebody is getting higher every day.
He's going to have to get out a little step, and like Emmanuel Macron. No, fuck. Nicolas Sarkozy had the step. Yeah, he's going to have to get out a little step and put it down in front
kings.
of you.
Yeah. The French love to elect a short man.
They do.
Let's see. Let's see if that holds true.
Yeah, and then although I regret to inform everyone that I did see a picture of Rishi Sunak's wife today, and I'd be like, maybe I'd slap someone for that woman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of nice with it.
So if you're listening and want to get with a man who's got a different political career ahead of him,
yeah, that's right.
An allergy to crabs.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak now can't slap me because I'm saying his wife is nice with it.
Okay, all right, children. Rishi Sunak was implicated by leak today as basically being personally responsible for blocking energy bill relief. Like, personally
we talked about We talked about the like treasury guys with like back tattoos of like Ludwig von Mises. He's the guy. It was him. We've now identified him like in a game of Cluedo.
Yeah, he's got a back tattoo of a coconut crab.
Well,
terrifying.
The reason I want to bring this up, right, is that once again, it's a situation where if some policy is changed, then there will be some claim that some intrepid journalist who published this leak, who got this scoop, or that it was by some pressure from the opposition where none really or not much really is coming, when it will be somehow placed on the altar of our various democratic institutions, whether that is our opposition party or in parliament or our adversarial press, that have somehow made this thing happen. But the thing to remember is, don't forget, this is an argument between friends, and they were essentially passed a note by someone in the other group.
Yeah, this is Tory rat fucking, and it's also not only the Heating bills. It's also his wife, who we talked about previously, is a non-dom, which is weird because she looks like she'd dom the shit out of me. She's
you slipped that one in, huh?
She's legally she's not legally resident in the UK for tax purposes, or rather she is, but it's not like her natural home.
Non-domiciled status enables you to, and I believe it's assets and money that you make offshore if you don't bring them into the UK to not pay UK tax on them. Is that right?
If you want to hear more about that, check out the bonus episode we did with Kojo Koram, where we talk about what those laws are and their history.
I'm sure they're applied very fairly.
That's the other thing, right? Is all you'd have to do, how they pick this guy for chancellor, where it's like all you have to do is not claim that status for like a couple of years, or pick someone who is less implicated in all of the financial shit that everybody fucking hates to be the face of it. But you couldn't just do it a little bit less. You had to have it. You had to have the non-dom wife. You had to have the chancellor that doesn't understand
I would hate to have a non-dom wife.
How to use a contactless card. You couldn't. They just couldn't bring themselves to just turn it down a little bit because they're just piggies for it.
And they were right to, because it's going to turn out not to matter at all. Like this is, as we've mentioned, an entirely like internal conservative conversation that is being conducted through the national press.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are like powerless to do anything about it, or even really say anything about it. So the sort of the cost to the Tories institutionally from this very low, I suspect.
Of course, I think it's more just like how do you not see that this would happen from an individual perspective?
You don't have to. You don't have to see if shit's going to happen if it's not going to matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you don't have to predict like the individual constellation of bugs that are going to end up on your windscreen when you're driving down the motorway. But okay, fine. But like it's fine. You just push the big like manufacturer consent windscreen wiper and it's just gone. It's fine.
Now Keir Starmer's going to have to get up and say, "Look, this is a disgrace. The decision to block energy bill relief should have been taken by a committee."
Another thing in UK news I want to discuss before we get to the tech stuff is that I've held off talking too much about the Channel 4 thing as well. But again, a new piece of information has arisen that I find, too perfect in terms of like, the sort of ideological, cultural vandalism being perpetrated sort of currently. So Nadine Dorries, noted erotic novelist, and in her sort of in her a great experience, right, as a writer of bodice ripping erotic novels, like Harlequin romances or whatever, they've said, okay, well, you're just in charge of
this
the
novel
culture.
Is a danger to your bodice. Do not read if you're wearing an expensive bodice.
they put her just in, and remember, so for American listeners, is how you get put in charge of stuff is like you're like, oh yeah, you've been the MP for I don't know Lewis for 30 years. Why don't you have a go at managing the health system?
Why not?
Why not, indeed.
Yeah, the MP for Martin Lewis.
And so, so Nadine Dorries is just been like, it's just been sort of who's just been a Tory MP for a while, has been very loyal to Boris.
Incidentally, is one of the more like vengeful and petty Tories, and as such, perfectly positioned to use any sort of ministerial post, but especially CMS, as sort of an a large grindstone to grind a series of axes that she's stored up over the past 30 years.
Well, you got to sharpen those axes somehow.
So she's basically selling Channel 4, which is again, for American listeners, is it's a state broadcaster.
It's like the BBC, but except less staid. The taxpayer doesn't pay for it, and you can see tits on it sometimes if you're lucky.
So what they do is it's a commissioning organization. They don't make their own stuff, and it's very popular. Most people like it. And what's very funny, right, is that Nadine Dorries is like, yeah, well, proceeds from the Channel 4 sale, this thing that invests in making a lot of independent stuff from around the country, not just London. This proceeds from the sale of the one organization where you could reasonably sell those kinds of creative products will be invested in like a one-time cash infusion for independent directors and creative skills.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Are we or are we not independent creative skills? Because I think we should get a seat at the table here. I think we should get some of Channel 4's like largesse.
Well, because I think Nadine Dorries is remembering that old phrase, which is that, if you teach a man to fish, he might not ever even actually successfully fish. Whereas if you give a man a fish, hey, he's going to eat for a day.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good way of looking at it.
If you take a man's fishing rod and you throw it in the canal, then it'll greatly benefit other fishermen.
That's right. It'll benefit the canal, which will now have a fishing rod.
Yeah, and again,
downstream, if you will.
They're like, yeah, we're going to sell it so it can compete with Netflix. As though the only thing holding it back from competing with Netflix, this relatively parochial British TV station, was that it's just not dynamic enough.
Yeah, not the fact that it isn't able to lose billions of dollars of investor money every year.
Also, Channel 4 is about as dynamic an institution as you can get in the UK. Like, it kind of makes a fetish of it sometimes.
Yeah.
The sort of the culture that Channel 4 likes to present for itself is being a bit alternative, being a bit edgy, right? And honestly, it's one of the few mass market things in British media that does that at all. And now it's just going to be we gave all your money to TikTok shopping haul girls. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mark my words, is that we're going to get some shows on Channel 4 in the next, once the privatization goes through, we're going to get some Quibi level shows.
Ooh.
On there. Maybe they'll buy the Quibbies. And we can watch Quibi on terrestrial TV in the UK.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Channel 4 can be buried with its golden arm.
Yeah, that's right.
That's like the golden arm of the state.
I mean, mostly what I think is happening is, just you put these people in charge of everything, and they're just taking revenge on all the institutions they feel haven't been excited enough about them in the last several years.
Yeah, and it's quite easy to be rude to Nadine Dorries, fun and justified too, because she's awful and also very stupid. And so, we're sort of now in a sort of authoritarian thing where we can just shut down a TV station that makes fun of me in a way I don't like, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also this running thing of how the Tories have this complete bloodless commitment to austerity, even beyond the stated aims of austerity, which is to save the taxpayer money or to balance the books or whatever, because they have these things on the books that make money, like Channel 4 or the Royal Mail back in the day or whatever, and they're like, no, we have to sell them off because even though these are actually profitable businesses which we own, us owning things is wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed. And actually, the government should have less money, even though that's against the logic of austerity, by selling these things off.
We're running it like a British business.
Exactly, by destroying it.
Of course.
Yeah.
They are.
Everything should be shit. This country is shit. It's supposed to be shit. And if you don't like it, you can fuck off.
You know what it is? It's like the Tories are just like Maoist third worldists. That's the only explanation.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about how my little theory of how the Conservatives are actually a deep Maoist plot to provoke a revolution that we just haven't provoked. This just more grist to the mill. Absolutely.
All right. So
also, all of the transphobia got worse.
Oh right, yes, of course. That also did happen. But essentially there was a vote to ban. Well, I want to talk about this more fully on a subsequent episode.
Yeah. But suffice it to say for the moment that I'm a contentious issue on a bipartisan basis now.
Ooh.
But Boris has managed to come out and say, I don't think trans women should compete in women's sports, which is, chase the headline king, whatever. And at the same time, we have Keir Starmer going, well, actually, I don't know what I think. And if I did know what I think, it would be something that was pleasing to both sides, because it's a very contentious issue.
Well, he used to just repeat the text of the law, essentially. And now he's not even doing that.
No.
Love Keir.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna sell Boris Johnson on trans women just by getting him in a room and explaining to him that trans women are a type of women that he can't get pregnant. He's gonna display some Tory flexibility and come out and just be like, go from full trans rights from 0 to 100.
Chaser Boris Johnson. I hate that you were standing by the lathe that we keep in the studio when you said that.
Cracking stuff. You heard about this? It used to be chaps. Now they're women. Bloody fantastic.
We're improving the ratio of the world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, and this also is all coming hot on the heels of like a gay conversion therapy ban that specifically excluded trans conversion therapy.
Yeah, which then imploded the government's flagship LGBT conference. Also, the EHRC has been doing some more shit. So go back and listen to our episode about that particular institution. Right. So we talk about how that got hijacked. And just in general, shit's bad. It's not good.
Oh, that's right. Maybe maybe there's something we could look. Maybe this new information I have about MakerDAO could help potentially.
Yeah, maybe. I'm up for almost anything that leads into a segue to the next segment of the podcast.
Do you think that we could, as Trashfuture, cunningly apply for some government funding to set up a trans conversion therapy center that makes you trans? Exploit the wording of the law.
I think we could, should, must, and will do that.
That's right.
Yeah, of course. So we could.
Dr. Kasvani is now is now taking appointments.
Yeah, the spooky room where I scare Milo. We could do Yeah, perfect. All right, done. Well, let's. In addition to being an oil warehouse, which I forgot that we still are.
We can't make you trans, but we can make you scared. Oh boy.
So there's basically what this listener sort of informed me about MakerDAO was that it's not just the Huntington Valley Bank that is sort of collateralizing real world assets in these things. And for example, there is they've tokenized a number of things, including freight obligations. So like using Maker to create credit lines that are against tokenized freight invoices and supply chain financing solutions. So basically,
please tell me that a Class 1 railroad is getting in on this. Tell me that Norfolk Southern or CSX has now had to agreed to transport your ape.
This is so far. These tend to be like startups that deal with this stuff that then get the assets from somewhere else. Another one is American agricultural real estate. So you basically take a farm, right? And then you sell it, give it to a trust, and then the trust sort of tokenizes the farm and puts it in the vault.
Turns your farm into an ape.
Yeah, it turns your farm into an ape.
We're growing apes, boys.
Yeah. And so and so what you get really is the income from a rented farm property, right, is then collateralized against and put in the vault and used to create DAI, right? But the funniest one, is just a supply chain financing firm.
Cool.
Right? So you take the supply chain obligations, collateralize them, and again use it to pump out crypto that you switch for dollars. And again, definitely a
winning combination of supply chain finance and dodgy crypto stuff are two things which have never precipitated huge financial problems on their own, so surely when combined must be extra safe.
And there
also a villain from a previous season of Trashfuture coming back. Supply chain finance.
Simple country Bitcoin miner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just out here in the country literally doing the calculations on doing the calculations by hand. Working it out. I mean, like there's another company in Dallas that's using a bunch of single family homes in the Dallas area, and again, collateralizing them via this block, collateralizing them and then putting the collateral in the vault. And I think the thing that this hit home for me, and why I'm bringing it back up again, is to remember, in the event of a price, not even a crash of Ethereum to nothing, but if it just loses a significant amount of value, which it's a volatile cryptocurrency, it will, then if the basically like that if the value of if the value of your collateral, right? That's why you have to over collateralize. If the value of your collateral gets too low, because you're like usually you'd sell it for an Ethereum token or whatever, then it gets liquidated, right? So
you have to call in all of those loans anyway.
Yeah. So a lot of these, physical things, right? Again, more bits of it that more people are depending on. Maybe the apartment in Dallas I'm living in has been collateralized and part of Maker. Then maybe your landlord changes abruptly because your home has been, or because your home has been sold in as part of a what is essentially a collateral call.
My landlord's been to the Trashfuture Trans Conversion Therapy Center. Let's come back a landlady.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think it's, but I think it is worth going back into because it's like, it's not just through the Huntington Valley Bank. The Huntington Valley Bank worries me because it's more systemically connected to the rest of the system, systemically connected to the rest of like the economy, right? Because of its exposure to like, the deposit insurance.
Other banks mostly. But
yeah,
also
exactly.
It's like more geographically linked because it's going to be a bunch of shit in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, rather than like one apartment development.
Yeah. But it's just, it's that anywhere this thing can, because it's so hungry to be fed collateral to turn it into stable coins, algorithmically balanced stable coins, that you're essentially sort of taking more chips of just real actual stuff that matters and putting it on the table that says Ethereum can't go down, basically.
I mean, makes sense to me.
Yeah. Why not? More real stuff.
Sounds good.
More real stuff, in my opinion. All right. Anyway. I want to talk about Satoshi Island, formerly
Satoshi Island.
Satoshi Island,
home of the coconut crab.
So it is a 32 million square foot private island located in Vanuatu near Australia and Fiji. And the island was itself purchased by a holding company called Satoshi Island Holdings Limited.
I can see why they bought that island.
That's right.
It's, it was meant to be.
Nominative determinism.
Yeah.
And basically, right.
Yeah, they narrowly outbid I'm Very Scared of Coconut Crabs LLC.
Milo, I didn't know you had an LLC.
Yeah, they pulled out at the last minute after making a mystery discovery about the island.
So basically the idea here is they want this 32 million square foot island to become like a country, like a state within Vanuatu.
Okay.
But that is entirely tokenized. Everything. 100% of it. It's like a
But like Britain.
Yeah, that's right. Entirely tokenized. And a tropical paradise, much like Britain as well.
That's right, yeah. Full of crabs. Different kind, but still.
So, this goes on. It says, the press release says it is intended to become a home for crypto professionals and enthusiasts. I'd love to be a crypto enthusiast to the point that I moved to an intentional community.
An intentional community that's several thousand miles by boat or plane from anywhere else, right?
Other than like the one thing that crypto relies on is like massive supplies of electricity and also a fast internet connection, which I imagine are two things which it's quite difficult to get on an island in the South Pacific.
You know how in Pitcairn Island, right, which is one of these tiny British dependencies in the South Pacific, like everyone there is essentially descended from a handful of mutineers. And this led to, shall we say, some bad effects down the line, right? Yeah. I'm just picturing this like plus 200 years, but the original founders are all crypto guys, and I think loads of depravity as yet unimagined.
Yeah. Also, wasn't it the case that Pitcairn Island went on to become something of a nonce hotspot?
Yes, that was what I was alluding to.
Which, I imagine a crypto island could probably get there quite a bit faster.
Turbo nonce island.
So the thing is, you're talking about 200 years, but remember, this is like they're trying to tokenize and economize every social interaction, have no taxes, and assume that stuff like, water provision is just going to like happen via free exchange. So 200 years is optimistic for them having a consistent. Maybe they could become sort of. They could go so libertarian that they sort of in about 5 years or like in one generation become an uncontacted tribe.
Oh yeah, cool.
So the island
we can only hope.
So
That's what happened with those islanders, the guys with the bow and arrows. What are they called?
Sentinel Islanders.
Yeah, Sentinel Islanders. Yeah, they're remnants of a previous human civilization which invented cryptocurrency, and then they went to that island to become a crypto community.
So it's like a Bitcoin, but in Roman numerals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone died off except then, and then we all started again from the prehistoric phase. Yeah.
After years of preparation, a green light from the Vanuatu Ministry of Finance. By the way, Vanuatu makes half of its national budget every year from selling $130,000 citizenships.
Awesome.
And all approvals in place. Satoshi Island is now ready to be developed into a real-world crypto economy. Finally, and blockchain-based democracy. It will contain several, quote, NFT zones, also known as neighborhoods. Neighborhoods. We've invented the neighborhood.
Cool.
Surrounding a central grassy patch emblazoned with the Bitcoin logo.
Oh no! I mean that grass is just going to die immediately because none of these guys will think to maintain it or get anyone else to maintain it.
Oh, absolutely not.
They also have just zero aesthetic taste. That's what I love about the crypto people. Everything's like, yeah, what if the grass had the Bitcoin logo? It's like, hey, what if you fucking had a shower, buddy?
Basically, so they'll grant a couple thousand foreign national citizenship a year. Among the ones they granted in 2020, this is from The Guardian, were an Italian businessman accused of extorting the Pope.
How? Of what? Why? What confident? Oh, I see immediately. What confidential information you could?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, right.
It's not even really that confidential, is it? It's just
no.
And South African brothers accused of a $3.6 billion cryptocurrency heist.
South African brothers.
Yeah, so they basically, they make most of their money. It's a country of several tens of thousands of people that makes most of its money selling citizenships to Italians who try to extort the Pope. And then,
awesome.
And now they're like, we're gonna put the Bitcoin Island here, which actually is perfect.
Dirk van der Klook, really the silent partner in that relationship.
Yeah, that's right. My brother and I are going to Vanuatu for a job.
So
doing a little bit of mining, if you know what I mean.
And so it's been owned by a property developer called Anthony Welch.
Owned by a lot of people, I think, now.
Right. And they basically this property developer and his wife have just owned it for years and now have sold it to the Bitcoin people. But after they've said, we're trying to build a community. He said this, and despite the fact that the small island currently has. Remember how you said you needed internet and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, it has no electricity or water or phone or internet.
I'm guessing it doesn't have an airstrip then.
Well, no.
So what it has then is a dock, right? And then so you get the boat to it from somewhere that does have an airstrip, I presume.
I don't know if it has a.
Just plug this fucking island into Google Maps for me and go get directions.
So you're having to do a World War II landing craft type situation, get out of the boat in the shallow water and wade up there.
I think you're having to do an Indiana Jones sort of red dot along map kind of situation.
So there are some buildings on the island.
Well, because it's a private island, they have generating electricity, but there's no mains electricity,
and there's no water.
No. It's all stuff that you put in your rich person private island house.
Right.
They say,
weird temple.
So
whatever else Jeffrey Epstein had on Little St. James Island.
The crypto paradise my partners want to build is a really cool idea. It's a wonderful use of a place we have been able to live on for 12 years. The key issue was trying to find a government that would permit a society to exist entirely on the blockchain.
What does that even mean? It doesn't. You have to exist in the real world. You can't exist on the blockchain.
Outer heaven.
You're a thing. You have to breathe. What the fuck are you? You have to eat food and take shits. But what are you talking about?
But that's kind of the ideology here, right? This idea that I can just going to understand myself, in terms of. I'm just going to understand myself in terms of a series of transactions. Things that can be optimized and monetized and all this stuff. I'm going to understand all of my interactions with others as things that could be improved by transacting. I'm going to imagine all of my interactions with my daily needs as things that I could microtransact for, because presumably I'm going to be the recipient of so many transactions that I will be able to transact for everything else that they're the recipient of mine.
It definitely won't be the same thing as NFTs, where it's just like 5 guys trading with themselves.
Yeah. And the crucial thing is 5 guys trading with themselves can make a number go really high.
Oh, yeah.
But it can't necessarily clear a patch of land. You need another guy to do that.
No, you need Jerk Vanderklug to do the plot of Far Cry 3 for you.
That's right. So
I've been hard to pacify the local population of a crypto island.
It was very
the local
easy.
population is
they were like
crabs.
3 guys, they're all millionaires. They surrendered immediately. As soon as I showed them I had a gun, they were like, "Why, man? What the fuck? Just take it. We don't care."
3 guys and 500,000 crabs.
Yeah, that's right. I had a little bit more trouble with the crabs.
So,
You ever seen a 7.62 round bounce off a crustacean? I fucking have. Jesus Christ.
Shirt's idea of Jerk Vanderklug beating a crab to death with another crab.
They made of fucking depleted uranium, I swear.
the key issue was trying to find a government that would permit a society to exist entirely in crypto. Most countries...
Isn't Vanuatu still a British dependency? Is this our fault again?
No, it's just a country. It's a straight-up country.
Okay.
Most countries in the world, for
The
example,
classic taste of country.
want to collect tax.
Country classic.
Therefore, they don't want crypto transactions because they can't monitor what's happening. But Vanuatu has no income tax at all.
Oh,
Great.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, so I've just looked up economy of Vanuatu. Can I tell you what proportions things are in the Vanuatuan economy?
Please.
59.4% of the Vanuatuan economy is fish, right?
Okay.
13% of it is tugboats. 10% is perfume plants. 2% is cocoa beans. And I guess they're hoping that the rest is going to be apes.
Yeah, it's a bored ape.
This is a country for whom selling their postage stamps is 1% of their GDP.
Well, because they're not going to levy tax. They don't levy income tax. So like they're just hoping, I guess, that like a bunch of people will move here and start pyramid schemes. They want to be the pyramid scheme, like Miami. They revealed the like mechanical looking bull.
Oh yeah,
like the cyber
crypto bull. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, come to Miami, a city that is going to be the fucking
Underwater.
ocean floor in like 10 days.
Yeah.
I'm looking for. I hope I live long enough to like scuba dive to see the crypto bull.
So again, it's like it's the same thing with like Vanuatu. Like I can't imagine like Lataro. Let's just. I feel like running all of those coal-fired Bitcoin miners might cause Lataro, the island with the coconut crabs and potentially all these crypto people on it, some issues in the future. But the other thing is, right, there are tens of thousands of people who have expressed interest in spending the hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase the citizenship NFT.
Matt Hancock, for example.
Oh,
yeah.
I hate the phrase citizenship NFT more than anything I've heard in the last couple of days.
Service guarantees apes. And like, I cannot tell. I literally cannot tell if this is like, if they spent $10 million on the island knowing that like a lot of people would spend a lot more money on buying the citizenship NFTs because they want to come live on the island that you have no intention of developing, or if a lot of people are going to go and starve to death in this remote, relatively inaccessible island.
It's going to be like Fire Festival, but even dumber.
Yeah, going out like a crypto Amelia Earhart.
But I just, yeah, that's right. But I just don't understand at any point what the point of this is. Like, what is the point of a crypto island where you sit around and
the big government can't push you around?
There is no government. It's just a couple of
yeah, you know what else there isn't? Electricity, running water, stuff like that. Like the whole thing with crypto is you can do it anywhere, and they themselves have said that the thing with crypto is the government can't really tell you what to do because it kind of operates outside of the existing financial structures and like traceability, although that's maybe changing a bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, either you believe that crypto is this libertarian thing, in which case, why the fuck do you need to go and live on an island with a bunch of other freaks and die? or it isn't. In which case, why the fuck do you care about it?
Because it's utopian.
In fairness, going to live on an island with a bunch of other freaks and dying is kind of like a good description of moving to Britain.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's because it's got this fundamentally utopian impulse. That's why like every project we talk about, or at least not like the DeFi one.
It's the same as it's seasteading, but with a more crypto angle. Like they try and pull this thing about like twice a year at this rate, and it's like sometimes it has a more libertarian slant, sometimes it has a more tech slant. I genuinely was absolutely certain we had talked about this before because it's like not even a memorable number in terms of how many of these we've talked about. I've fucking read about so many of these proposals. They never pan out. They never should pan out. And they're always sort of like traps and scams to part idiots with their money.
And I think
if you want to start a real micronation in a place with no water and electricity, go occupy a fucking sea fort like Sealand.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
I think there is this. It's built this desire, and I think that it's accelerated with sort of the utopian nonsense of crypto. It's accelerated this desire to escape, and I think that's what it keeps selling is. This promise that things are bad. You are essentially crushed by forces all around you, whether that is these institutions that seem so overbearing, but also these institutions that are designed to surveil and monitor and discipline. You're being ripped off by your power company. All this stuff. That there are.
Now you can get ripped off by one guy with a generator who is the power company.
Yeah, of course, but like it's the same reason why like all these sort of cults and intentional communities developed in like upstate New York in like the 19th century, in the 18th and 19th century.
Yeah, these guys are like the Shakers, kind of.
Well, because you're living in a time that you're living in a way that feels sort of so like you have been transported and alienated from. Any kind of community. You've been alienated from yourself. You're being, having to live in these awful towns and work in factories or whatever.
You know who the most famous denizen of those New York intentional communities was Charles Guiteau. So I'm looking forward to the next U.S. presidential assassin having previously been on this island.
Yeah, or like wearing, I don't know, like making the pussy eating gesture while he.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, eating Joe Biden's pussy. That would be fun.
On a long enough timeline, a U.S. president will get assassinated by somebody who has been photographed making a pussy eating gesture. That's
like
just
a crypto
facts.
party.
Do you think John Wilkes Booth, there's not a daguerreotype anywhere of him making a pussy eating gesture?
Yeah, Marina Oswald taking a photo of her husband making a pussy-eating gesture with a rifle.
It's the Life magazine cover, but he's holding an iPad of a board. He's wearing a Bored Ape hoodie.
Yeah, nice.
No, so look, I think that it is based. The reason we're seeing this uptick in these
the
like
Harvey Apes world,
in these and what is essentially and no longer the religious dissenter communities of like sort of 19th century America, but of libertarian dissenter communities and who are what they want, right, is they heard this wonderful thing, right, that the economy that we have set up, the neoliberalized economy, the economy of Hayek, it promises you freedom. And they have lived by these sort of whatever sort of religion you want to ascribe to that, right? Whatever commitment they have to that. And they've lived with it, but then it has been, debased and it has been, the promises aren't borne out. And so, of course, if you're a true believer in it, then you are going to, as happened here, as happened in the, colonization of America as well, right? Escaping something to try to find the pure version of what it's supposed to be about.
You think they're Hayekian Salafists?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they are. They absolutely are. Because they were promised Hayek, but they feel like they're on the road to serfdom anyway, and so they're trying to escape. And it is this attempt to escape and establish a community based on what they think are the real grounded principles that everyone else has misunderstood. Because if everyone understood them properly, then they would have the life of freedom that they believe that they deserve and could get. But they don't.
Yeah.
And so, of course, if someone says, I've got a private island where I've agreed with James Law Cybertecture, who is the architect they got to design the identikit housing, right? and everything's going to be on the blockchain. There won't be any of these institutions impinging on your freedom. There won't be any of that.
You know what's really going to impinge on their houses and their freedom in a minute is the fucking ocean.
Or the coconut crabs.
Yeah, all the coconut crabs, which are only going to move further inland the more the ocean impinges.
I mean, the highest elevation on Satoshi Island is 88 meters above sea level. So, enjoy your new wading pool houses.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, I mean, also, again, everything's going to be on the blockchain, apart from the running water and electricity, which won't be there at all.
Yeah, but the idea is that if you just introduce a free enough market where there are low enough transaction costs and no institutional frictions, these things will be planned. You could make them together, and there needn't be anyone in charge of the electricity, because the emergent wisdom of the crowd that, again, like Hayek has promised, right?
Sure, yeah.
That's all just going to be governing it, and it's going to be all of us together voting on things to do with our various tokens and buying and selling them from one another. And so
well,
on.
it's just the Laffer curve, right? Because if you lower the age of consent enough, eventually electricity just springs from the ground.
So this is from the actual an in-depth. This is from the article from Bitcoin.com, which a website I read so you don't have to.
Oh wow!
Which is an in-depth look at Satoshi Island. They say Satoshi Island citizenship is the ultimate NFT for any aspiring Satoshi Islander. Provides the holder with exclusive benefits.
Immediately a baffling sentence. Satoshi Island citizenship is the ultimate NFT for any aspiring Satoshi Islander. Presumably, yes. That's like saying, I don't know, like owning a Primark jacket is the ultimate jacket for anyone who wants a Primark jacket.
Do you want a Primark jacket, Milo?
No.
Okay, well.
And you know what else I don't want?
So Satoshi Island is taking the next step in the evolution of NFTs by introducing a way to turn digital ownership into physical. Anyone can own a piece of the island by acquiring Satoshi Island land NFTs that can be bought and sold easily without any of the complications associated with the transfer of traditional real estate.
Or any of the security.
Or any of the running water.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, we've defied regulation, and now you can buy this like wedge of land. Yeah. Fantastic.
And so and then you get a house, of course. And all the houses, weirdly, are going to be the same because only one architecture firm is making them. So you can only get one kind of house.
Question.
Yeah.
So if my house catches fire, right? Is there like, do I wait for the market to provide me with a fire department, or do I like then try and commoditize that fire?
I think probably both.
Okay.
I think you'd commoditize the fire while you have it, and then the time it takes for the fire department to put it out is arbitrage.
I see.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you can go and have sex with the youngest person you can find.
So,
and that time until the fire department puts it out is forever, by the way.
Or no, the sea level.
Oh, yes. You know what? You make a great point.
So each living quarter resembles
the coconut crabs.
Resembles a luxurious shipping container.
We fucking containerized the crypto guys.
A
fantastic. Where they belong.
Shipping container.
A Lux modular shipping container, and is designed.
It's one module.
Get in the chew. Get in it. Get in the CHU.
It's 60,000.
What is these people's obsession with fucking shipping containers? I love that we've already had the discussion on here that like actually building dwellings in shipping containers is more expensive than just building them from scratch.
I think they look like shipping containers. But
see.
they were
Cool.
created by this firm called James Law Cybertecture in Hong Kong. It's a smart and sustainable glass-walled block that can be combined and arranged into hundreds of different positions that can be anything from a family home to a sprawling office space. Because remember, they want a lot of businesses here. And they say, yeah, of course, all the energy that the island uses will be self-generated by way of renewable methods, including solar panels and specialized waste management systems. But then you look at the actual like ambition to the as to what the thing's going to look like, and it's just identical. It's an identical drawing of like, you could just Google image search, reverse Google image search it, and it's identical to like every other one of these modules that ever gets like proposed. But they say, you know, that it's $60,000 per, but it's like the only house you can get. See, that part's not on the blockchain. They just decided that's the only house you can get on this island.
And that is something that we on this podcast like to call communism.
Communism is when you have running water and electricity. That's my understanding.
That's right. Well, they say made for the crypto community. Satoshi Island, which again there's a picture on the website of like some laborers like with some concrete and standing around some trees, right? Satoshi Island.
Yeah, who are those guys going to be? Where are they going to get the concrete from?
I assume some kind of a DeFi transaction.
Okay.
Yeah, they say it's poised to become the crypto capital of the world, intended to bring together thousands of crypto professionals. But they say it's a place to live that's the ultimate constant networking opportunity.
I mean, it really depends on what sort of people you're looking to network with.
Crabs.
Yeah, crabs, primarily. If you're looking to meet lots of coconut crabs, then oh boy. Then maybe, eventually, fish.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say is talking about James Law cybertexture. He says, to meet the goals of this is him being interviewed by Prestige magazine some years ago. To meet these goals, various social and ecological goals, we need technology-driven architecture, which I call cybertexture.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
That's right. And so I guess
hold on, I think I have that. Yes, of course, I still have that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's perfect. Anyway. And so that's where they're going to get. I mean, will everybody who moved there die immediately?
Yes.
Will they all get? Was it just a scam and there was never an intention to move there anyway?
Yes.
This is all a plot by the coconut crabs who want to crack open their skulls and feast on the goo inside.
Yeah, I thought
all
it was
of these
weird
men
that
are
the
coconut
invitation...
crabs in suits, saying yes, move to our safe island where there are normal levels of crabs.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that the invitation was let's go, start an intentional community, do not bring weapons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to read a brief article for the last of this because this is fun.
Do not bring crab hammers or other crab-destroying devices. As you will not need them since there are no crabs. Signed, definitely not a crab.
So, this is by... okay, do you know who Michael Deacon is?
No.
So Michael Deacon... basically he's trying to write a satirical look at the news column.
Oh, I hate this fucking sketch bullshit.
Right, excellent.
Yeah, so he writes that column, right? Plus a feature column. So these are guys this is a guy his job is to just kind of write his let's say write his musings. And Alice, you and I sort of concluded as to what
I have a theory about this. Yeah, and I think...
let's get into it, and then you can tell me your theory.
All right.
Yeah, I'm silencing women again.
I think this guy's a crab in disguise.
Yeah, that's right. So this is from Michael Deacon's column, Way of the World, his satirical column. Again, he's trying to make a... This is supposed to be funny. Don't forget. The comment. J.K. Rowling is right. Woke men are ruining beards for the rest of us.
What?
Well... Not long ago, you see, facial hair was all but ubiquitous. Now, innocent men risk being mistaken for insufferable left-wing beard splainers.
Innocent men. Beard splainers. Okay.
So, I want to try... Let's see if we could... Because this is supposed to be this is something... It's supposed to be a satire. I think the satire is, again, on...
He's doing an irony. He's doing a bit, and so we're triggered and owned if we get mad at him.
I think he's trying to sort of... try to own, a bearded version of Owen Jones, I think.
A bearded version of Owen Jones would be quite powerful, I think.
That's right. Owen, get a beard. He
writes, see how it looks.
He writes in his comedy column, Gillette says that sales of its razors have shot up 30% in the last year. You may think the reason is obvious. After letting themselves go during lockdown, men decided to smarten up and return to the office. I think the reason is actually very different.
They decided to pull up their pants and go back to the office.
And listen to some real music.
Yeah, like the Big Bopper.
I have to read the sort of comedic bits of a newspaper and do a sensible chuckle.
Yeah. So are we all ready for a sensible chuckle? Because here it comes.
All right.
I am readier than I've ever been in my life.
Men simply daren't wear a beard anymore because they fear being mistaken for some insufferable woman-hating woke activist. You can hear him getting mad.
Nice, yeah.
You can hear him getting so mad when he's typing.
You have to generally speaking, I would say when you want to carry off a bit like that, you got to try not to get mad while you're doing it.
Yeah, that's kind of a key element of the carrying off
the bit. This leads me into my theory, right? Mm-hmm. My theory is that this guy is dark side Adrian Chiles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go into it.
He's noticed something, and it's bouncing around the walls of his mind, but unlike Adrian Charles has like perfectly glossy, smooth, frictionless brain surfaces. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll perceive something and it'll just slide straight through and it'll make it into the form of a column where like Adrian Charles grapples with hearing the word roadman for the first time and goes, oh, interesting, and draws no conclusions.
They're not even doing
it.
roadworks.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be fun.
Whereas this guy has the sort of like enough of the sort of animating grit of like British spite that he's like getting mad at the thing as it's like occurring to him. And I think
my question to bearded woke men is, do you want to use my toilet?
There's no getting away from it. Of late, beards have become synonymous with a very specific type of man. At the weekend, J.K. Rowling gave them a name, beard-splainers. These are men who...
She's just recycled that from fucking Graham Linehan of all people.
Yeah.
Like,
J.K. Rowling parroting something that Graham Linehan said? Come on.
But genuinely, though, this is like a weird turf bugbear. And to try and like smuggle it in under the guise of like doing a faint irony, that's real weird.
Well, I mean, it's real weird because I think that... I'll go on. J.K. Rowling gave them the name beard-splainers. These are men who, despite purporting to be impeccably progressive, appear to spend their every waking moment on social media belittling women. And without exception, absolutely all of these men have beards. Just as punks have Mohicans and monks have shaved crowns, so too woke men will have beards.
I think woke men should get a tonsure. I think that would be good. I think we should just start embracing that.
For me, this development is particularly distressing because I often have a beard myself. My look veers between chubby George Michael and the full Captain Haddock. Yet now I suppose I'll have to go to the bother of shaving every morning. Otherwise, strangers will take me for some preening podcast plugging brocialist.
Podcast plugging. Well, here we go.
This really like what a fun little vignette about our times and our ways of living. You know.
Of course.
I enjoy the contrast between like chubby George Michael and full Captain Haddock, which would be two fun additions to the kind of gay twink otter bear taxonomy.
Well, it was on reading that paragraph, right, that I've developed a further corollary to the Alice, your theory that is that the distinction between him and Adrian Chiles, which is that every British columnist is Adrian Chiles. And that, like, the nervousness of someone or anxiety of someone like Raphael Baer keeps them from ever becoming full Adrian Chiles. The contrarian impulse of Dan Hodges, his desire to do something like with his column.
It's like the sand in an oyster, right? It's that's how you get the pearls. Whereas Adrian Chiles, of course, is a perfectly untroubled oyster who will never ever create a pearl.
And yet he creates the greatest pearls of all.
Absolutely. And so too do all of these other guys, like Raphael Baer's Shoes column.
Yeah.
A classic.
Yeah.
An eternal classic.
Iconic.
A certified banger exists only because he briefly let his guard down and allowed himself to write like Adrian Chiles.
Yeah, that could have been written by Chiles.
Yeah, of course it could have. But I think it's and so this is Michael Deacon is I think the closest to Adrian Chiles as his opposite, where Adrian Chiles is
he's his warrior.
Yeah, he's dark Adrian Chiles, and Adrian Chiles is of course
Adrian Wiles.
As a perfect Zen existence, just drifting through his life, just observing things as they come up and allowing them to slip away. And Michael Deacon, on the other hand, is sort of so he is so close. It's just he is unable to stop reacting. So
what's curious is that the Chilesness applies to all British columnists, irrespective of political affiliation, age, class, gender. Even I've read Liz Mayer columns that could have been written by Adrian Chiles. It's truly it is a universal truth, a grand unified theory of columnists.
Yeah, it's it's not that being a columnist is a sickness. It's just that Adrian Chiles is trying to deny
the Chilesness of your job. That's the sickness.
The human condition is that at our core we are all Chiles.
Yeah.
There is a Chiles inside all of us.
We're all Chiles of God here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Also, hey, Chiles Drin of God. Do you think it's time we pause for dinner?
I think it's time we I have 4 minutes until I can eat, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we got some Korean on deck coming into the studio, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm also very excited about, is the live show still happening in the future from this episode?
It's on the 20th of April.
Yes.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yes, well,
I hope April's not going to go that fast. Jesus.
Okay, so
Gods, man.
There
it's
might
the 7th.
if there. I
Not
don't
if
know
you're
about,
listening to this. It's no longer the 7th.
No, of course it'll be 5 days from 4 days. It will be some days from now. When you're listening to this, and the live show will be some further days from that.
Don't worry about it. If you're listening to this, hey, it's today.
Yeah.
Whatever today is.
That's the day that today is.
Yeah.
This is the level of organization that my brain feels like all the time now.
It's whatever that says.
So anyway, maybe there are tickets left to the live show. I don't know at this
It's
point.
close to selling out. Yeah, they may or may not be. There's also the Britanology and Clogheads live show on the 3rd of May. The tickets for that are on the Trashfuture website. You need to go to our store on the website.
Go to the website. You need to navigate on over to the website.
Yeah,
open up your internet browser.
Open up Netscape Navigator.
That's right.
And type in
Pointed at
HTTP.
Trashfuture.
Yeah, you need to go to the Crypto Island.
Yeah, you can get a ticket there. You can get an NFT of the ticket there, but you need to present a physical ticket so we know you own the NFT.
That's right.
Bored Ape Pod Club.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, that's happening. I'm sure Milo's got some dates.
12th of April, which is this.
Sound like you're improvising this as you go.
Yeah, it's today. If you're listening, it's today. Hey, today there will be a smoke comedy with Alex Keeley and Mickey Overman. I'm emceeing it. Why not come to that? Also, on the 1st of May, I'm getting my 2019 tour show, Pindos, filmed. There's many tickets. Please come to that. The links to all these are on my website. On the 17th of May in Brighton, I'm doing my new show, Voicemail, my favorite town in the UK.
You're going to get a crystal?
I do want to go to Bristol. I just need to organize it. I've had many.
Are you going to get a crystal when you're in Brighton?
Yeah, get some Brighton rock, hang out by the pavilion.
Yeah, I'm going to get some crystal meth.
You want to get some white guy dreads?
If anyone wants to smoke illegal drugs with me, come
illegally. Do not smoke illegal drugs. Well, that's not investment advice.
Yeah, come to the Brighton live show.
All right.
So you can say no, I don't smoke illegal drugs.
That's right. And I'll be like, it was all a test. There are no illegal drugs here. Only these coconut crabs.
Coconut crabs.
Unleashing the coconut crabs on the audience.
Yeah, these drug-sniffing coconut crabs.
That's right.
Okay.
They're only here to
cop
sniff
with
drugs.
a coconut crab on a leash. It's got a little vest on that says police on it. Adorable.
I support the police crabs.
I welcome them. I would encourage them, though, to not crack open our heads and feast on the goo inside.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.